Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by an in focus, Mike Jones.
I'm in focus. Well, that'll be one of the first times. Usually the lack of bandwidth has me decidedly out of focus compared to Dale.
Well, that's an interesting idea there that you're mentioning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of our technical challenges here. We bring you the best thing that we can here. Due to Google and the availability of this kind of thing, I have not heard of anybody else in our state or wherever that's doing a nightly show every night, 7 nights a week on the internet. It's an internet television station. And the reason that we're doing this is because you can't get any news out of the courier. Okay, so a little bit from the TV stations. We'll show you one of the reports. But what we need to do is, if you take a look over here at Mike's picture, here's Mike. Now, he's just slightly out of focus, which is typical for Mike in real life, and a little bit darker than my picture, which looks like this. Okay, that's partly due to his bandwidth, the amount of information that will go through his connections to the internet, and so mine is going to look just a little bit sharper. Many people say that about me, than Mike here. Okay, so what we try to do is we try to start with the very best quality that we can, so that we can deliver to you. Because by the time it gets to you, so I haven't talked to Mike about this, but Mike, true or false? When the internet companies say that there's no attenuation, there's no degradation of the signal by the time it gets to someone's house just because it's digital, are they telling you a true fact or a false one?
That depends. It depends on how much bandwidth that you have, how much they have compressed whatever content they're sending to you, and when you have a lesser bandwidth connection, as I do, Google makes up for it by just going, well, we're going to drop the quality of this image. Instead of just cutting it off entirely, we're going to allow you to see this video, but it's going to, not look very good. And thankfully they do that all automatically, because we would probably be, skipping out a good portion of the time. So it's good software. I don't know. Certainly anytime you're sending something over the internet, it is probably not going to be as good unless you're buffering the entire video, say, and you're selecting it at a 1080p quality or something. Then
well,
you're
of
probably
course, everybody knows that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think a lot of people do know that, though, at this point. I mean, we have to go forward not assuming that everybody's a moron when it comes to the internet.
No,
a lot of people
I'm
do
not
know
saying they're morons. I'm just saying that they may not be as cognizant of those details as you are.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, if you're on YouTube and you're watching a video and it looks kind of really crappy, low quality to you, and you think, wow, how come this looks like that? There's a little gear on the bottom bar over about 3/4 of the way, and just click on that, and that'll give you a list of the qualities that you could possibly be viewing that in. And it's usually automatically adjusted to your bandwidth capability, but you can select a higher quality and then just press pause and wait for the whole video to buffer. That's one way of doing it.
Now, one of the things that has changed in technology has been our ability to store information. We're going to get to the news in a second, just relax. And that this little thumb drive figures in this story that we're going to tell you a little bit later today. This stores 64 gigabytes. Now, you may remember from the old days 64K, 64,000, okay? And then there was 64 megabytes. That would be 64 million. This stores 64,000 million. Really? Yeah. Right. And with the kind of quality that we put out or try to put out, that would be about 4 of our shows. 4. Yeah, because we give you the very best that we possibly can. It's only your fault by the time it gets to your house. It's not my fault. Mike, it's not my fault. I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would debate you on that, but
Right. Okay. So, but the first thing that we're going to start off with today in the news is, where the heck was Simon Hare yesterday? Now, yesterday was the weekly business session, and at the last moment, it seemed to surprise the other commissioners. Simon Hare couldn't be there. This is Simon Hare got invited to the last minute to Greg Walden's press conference, and you'll see that Simon Hare got, I think maybe 2 seconds on television. Well worth missing a weekly business session. Go ahead and play this.
Congressman Greg Walden has been fighting for forestry legislation for years.
Not my first rodeo on forestry, yeah. I will never give up.
This time, he says the Resilient Federal Forests Act doesn't try to do as much as bills in the past.
What this bill does is expand the tools that we know that work further across the forests.
If this bill passes, Walden says it will address the growing economic and environmental threats of catastrophic wildfire.
By the end of the day today, just by you breathing, you'll have the same carcinogens that you're bringing into your body right now that's equivalent to about 2 packs of cigarettes before you go to bed.
Jackson County Commissioner Doug Bridenthal says he supports this legislation and getting Oregon summers back. Josephine County Commissioner Simon Hare agrees. He says this act is vital and long overdue.
Over the last decade, 25% of all the fires in the state of Oregon have happened in Josephine and Jackson County.
Walden says this bill encourages quick reforestation after large wildfires. It will require 75% of the area impacted to be reforested within 5 years.
Today, the Forest Service accomplishes about 3% reforestation after a fire. So this would go from 3% to 75%.
If it passes, Walden says this proper forest management will save taxpayers a lot of money because when a fire does start, it won't be as dangerous and destructive. Covering your news in Medford, Ariana Rakshani, News 10.
Okay.
So, Mike, you think that was worth it? It was closer to 4 seconds.
Well, and of course, this is one television station. I just happened to be catching Channel 10 this morning and saw that report on there and went and lifted it. But he may well have gotten coverage on other stations. And of course, there may be other people there that he was hobnobbing with that is part of the equation when it comes to him determining the value of being at something like that.
Well, here's a question for you to think about. We spend as a county a lot of money on one specific person. That's Simon Hare. The other commissioners don't do a lot of travel. Simon Hare is on the road a lot. He will be every month, and that's going to increase because he's the chair of the chair committee and those kinds of things. And so he belongs to and is a chair of a couple of subcommittees of the Association of Oregon Counties. And so he spends a lot of time in the road and not here. So one of the things that he has said several times in meetings in the little back room is that it's embarrassing when other counties can put up the money to join an organization and to host various activities and etc. And Josephine County can't. Josephine County can't.
Yeah.
And so it's embarrassing. And they're pulling their weight and we're not pulling ours. So a question, I think, to everybody, to our viewers is, if we were to go to the other counties and say, we just don't have the money. I mean, we've declared that it's an emergency around here with law enforcement. It's not that we don't care. And we're going to participate via Skype or we're going to participate via Google Hangouts, but we're not going to be able to come and shake your hand. I hope that you understand and of course we're interested. Do you believe that they're going to say, you know what? Now these timber ideas, we're going to take them to the federal government, ask them to leave you out because you're not putting in your fair share of the money, and so it's going to count for everybody but Josephine County. Mike, what do you think?
I think politically that would be a very dangerous position for some politician to take. Listen, the way I see what's going on in Josephine County is we're already getting screwed big time by the federal government, and what we don't go to some of their little confabs, and we get excluded from funding as a result of that. That's a hard one to sell. And I would hate to meet those allegations while trying to run for reelection.
Well, so then the question is, because we're going to be talking about this on Sunday and every Sunday for a while, what do we want? Let's suppose everybody in this audience, everybody, all of you, even Mike, everybody was running for county commissioner. What would you want to do on day 1, day 2, day 3? Okay.
It's very reminiscent of tonight's debate, or at least the first section of that, because that's sort of how that went too.
That would be the Republican cattle
Yes.
call. Sorry, Mike. But, all the people running for the Republican nomination for president, they had their first debate in 2 parts. They had the kind of the also-rans and the rans. The Rand Paul. All of the people that are running, and it's an
basically first and second tier. You had the top 10, which debate at it's like let's see here, 6:00 tonight, and then the second tier, which already did their debate starting at 5 o'clock Eastern.
Right, and so did the guys that were this evening too. That just before this show. So
Okay.
So what would you do now if you wanted to increase transparency, for example, actually make it transparent for people? Well, that means maybe you need to have an office staff that didn't include Terry Wharton, for example. It was such a pill when you go there. All right, here and hey. Go get a job filing papers someplace, please, even in the county. It's okay. Talk with the unions. We'll just switch you to another position where you're not so hard to get along with everybody, okay? There are several people that could change, or you might say, we're going to put a little bit more effort into making sure that you can actually see what it is that we're up to. Why are any of these meetings at all in the little back room? What's up with that? Why not just have them at the Ann Basker? Well, it's going to cost extra money. Where could this money come from? Here's your first idea. Stop all this travel all over the place. Stop joining organizations so that you look good. What are you, running for office elsewhere in the state? And what's up with that? And so there's a great opportunity. You could save hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is nothing to the commissioners. It truly isn't.
Yeah, because it's not their money.
No, but it would be a lot to us. And if citizens were truly the authorities that Mark Goins was talking about, you should not cross authority. If we're really the authorities, then shouldn't more effort be put into making sure that we know what's going on? Bringing everything into focus rather than doing stuff like, we'll explain to you here using a graphic. Now, you can see that we've been doing more coverage of the Grants Pass City Council. Yay. And part of the reason behind that is that we've gotten our hands on better quality audio and video. You can see that we've been struggling with trying to do this. Tell them what happened. People probably heard this before, but tell them, Mike, what happened when you went to a meeting of the county commissioners in the little back room and wanted to put a little microphone on. Well, it wasn't that much bigger than, a little bit bigger, smaller.
It was about this size, Uh-oh. Are we off again? It appears that we are. Starting to get old. Dale is frozen in one position. He looks very serious. He must be thinking about what he wants to say next. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, one of us is offline, and it's either him or me, because there's only two of us. Mm-hmm.
On a second, we'll find. There's Mike. Hello. So, I don't know where I do is get you the best quality video that we.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gotta check on something. If I'm the guy who's on the air, this will something's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure who is off and who is on, and
well, I think that I'm on with you.
Well, I know that you're on with me now.
Okay.
You weren't a couple of minutes ago.
All right. So we have a choice of starting over again, or we can just continue. Which do you think is the right thing to do, Mike?
Well, I just think pick it up at the beginning of this topic.
Okay.
And we'll go in there and chop it out.
We could do that. We could. Okay. So
well into the middle.
So here's what we've been trying to do with the Grants Pass City Council. We've been trying to show the best quality video and audio that we can, and it's been great. But here's an illustration of in the past and what we're able to do today. Show them that picture there, Mike.
There you go.
Right. Now, as you can see, on the left is what the video used to look like. Look down at the lettering down at the bottom. And on the right is what the video looks like now. Now, you may think, well, you know, I can put up with a little bit of a blurry picture, but imagine that you're trying to read that date down at the bottom. It says July 15, 2015. Or let's suppose that that logo there was a map. I'm sorry, we put this together as quickly as we could for today's show. That would not be a very easy map to look at. And so what I did was I took two versions, their old version and our newer version. I put them side by side so that you can see. We're going to play a little video for you so that you can see a more direct example of how this affects things on an everyday basis for us. Go ahead and play that video, would you, Mike? Now, watch as it slowly goes out of focus here. You see how much harder it is to see things now. Take a look. Can you read any of that? Really now? Can you read any of it? Now, I put up the divider. It's so much easier to read that on the right. It's still not easy, but it's a lot easier. Would you like to read that on the left all the time? So what we'd like to do is we'd like to try to make it nice and clear. Take a look at where it says Grants Pass and at that logo. I don't want to spend, so isn't this a much better? Look how crystal clear that is. That's what we want to bring you, if we can. But we've got a problem. And the problem this time comes down to one person, David Reeves. David Reeves is the Grants Pass equivalent of some of the office staff that we have in Josephine County. He is the assistant city manager. I'll tell you my little slight little David Reeves story, and you'll understand exactly who this guy is. I've told you this story before. So we're at this meeting, and we're talking about in their equivalent of the little back room. I've mentioned this story before, and we're talking about this park area that they want to set up so kids can play soccer. And they found out that there are several places in this park area, and you've heard of this park area, where there's probably toxic waste right under the surface. And so they were going to do a test to try to find out where it was and maybe not use that area. So there's supposed to be, I believe it was, 7 areas on there where there was possibility of dangerous carcinogens with little kids playing a foot or two above it. And so they sank these testing rods in there to try to find out where the problems were. Well, they decided instead of doing 7 of them, they'd just do 2 of them. Really? our kids are going to be playing on there, right? And so I went to that meeting and, well, any questions? And I said, Mr. Reeves, I have a question. I didn't know who this guy was. Yeah, well, what is it? You know, I said, well, you stopped at 2. Are you really sure that the others are okay? Well, where's your test? What?
Yeah, Dale, I mean, you should have just brought your test, for crying out loud.
This is who he is. This is quintessential David Reeves. So we figured out a way where we could get access to the, if you want to wait a couple of weeks, you can wait on Rogue Valley Television, who's still working with the city. I mean, the county showed them the door a long time ago, but they're still working with the city, and you can wait a couple of weeks, 3 weeks before you can even see some of these videos, unless you happen to catch it playing back. Well, on cable TV, if you have cable TV, I don't. Do you have cable TV, Mike?
No, I do not.
And anybody in Cave Junction is out of the loop because they don't have cable TV. The cable TV guys yanked out their cables out there quite a while back. So I figured out a way where, because there's a lot of nice people in both governments. And so I went down and I talked with one of the nice people, and I took her this little thumb drive. Tiny, huh? 64 gigabytes. And I said, is there any way that I can convince you nicely without giving you a lot of extra work to put those higher quality things on this? And, you know, I'll pay for it if you like. And she says, well, there's not going to be any charge for that. It's not going to take anything. You know, it's not like they have to burn a DVD. Well, when you make a DVD,
drag and drop operation, basically.
Right. So when you make a DVD, it has to compress all kinds of information to get it on there, which makes the picture worse. And if you grab it off of the air or off of the cable, that's even worse, because by the time we get it, it's going to look like that before and after picture we were showing you. So we had it set. Everything is fine. You can then see ultimate transparency. I mean, really crystal clear in focus. And then you could see what was happening and hear it, and it's brilliant. Okay. It's still standard definition television. It's not high definition like we do on our videos that we put out after our show, where you can go look at them, and some of that looks really, really good despite the lighting problems, the sound problems, you know, that story. Simon knows that he's not speaking loud enough. Everybody has mentioned it. Staff members mention it. Commissioners from other counties mention it. Simon knows. He says that he knows that they can't hear him. His answer one time was, well, as long as the other commissioners can hear me, that's good enough. Really? At a public meeting? Okay, so I went down there today to go get the results of yesterday's city council meeting, and also Monday's meeting where they were talking about the new city tax. Well, you can imagine there's been a little bit of a ruckus there because, see, at the beginning, right from the get-go, the city council did not want to be on cable TV. They got a lot of pressure from a lot of citizens saying, you really should be out there so we can see it. And they said, well, we get enough criticism as it is. Why would we want to be on cable TV? Finally, they relented. So we've been playing back more often now some longer excerpts that are really pretty good looking and you can hear very well. Well, apparently that's caused some kind of problems down at City Hall involving David Reeves. Not happy. So when I went in with this little thumb drive, as promised by the secretary there, very nice lady, to get us the video so that we can share that with you, David Reeves made sure that he came out and explained to me in person, we will not be sharing those with you anymore, Mr. Matthews. Really? No, you see, it takes an hour and a half to make that copy for you on that thumb drive. Mike, tell them why that's just a lot of hooey, an hour and a half. How long does it really take?
Well, let's assume that the file is maybe a couple of gigabytes, which is fair. If it's, you know, an hour and a half meeting or something, the chances are maybe it's that large. All it takes is for her to slip the flash drive in, grab the file, drag it over, drop it into that thing. Done as far as her effort is concerned. It may take a couple of minutes for the file to then transfer to the flash drive. She then removes it and then hands it to you. There's very little effort involved there. Listen,
hour and a half, Mike. Hour and a half.
No. Listen, most people understand this, but them saying that it's going to take an hour and a half of staff time to accommodate you in this department is the bureaucratic way of saying get lost.
Now, I even said to them, this is our dedication to you. I even said to them, tell me how much it would cost, because we want to be able to share this with people. We don't want to have to wait till it plays on cable TV. Can you imagine waiting? And then, because RVTV is really bad when it comes to, or at least they used to be really, really bad. You couldn't see anything. We'd give them stuff to play, and then you never knew if it was going to play or not, ever. So well, no, that's just not going to be possible. And okay. Then I said, well, how about if I just leave one of these with you? I'll buy another one for you, and you can put it in any time it's convenient. Put it in overnight, and we'll come back the next day and get it. No, you could infect our system with this. Mike, talk about infecting their system, would you please?
Well, theoretically, you could do that. But they would have to go, you would have to have a self-executing program in the flash drive. And frankly, we're not that sophisticated. That takes a greater level of knowledge than what we possess. We're doing a lot of stuff in broadcasting and film and audio editing, but we don't mess with, operating systems and things of that nature that you would have to have pretty hefty knowledge of in order to hack into somebody's system. Not only that, is that's not taking into account the protections that they already have on their system. I understand the apprehension. So if that's the case, then just give it to me on a DVD. So I guess apparently they won't do that either. Or...
Well, we both know that what happened as soon as Cheryl Walker came into office is she put an end to letting anybody buy DVDs from the county at any price. Doesn't matter what the price is. You can't have it. That's it. See, if these DVDs are available, not only can you go back and look and see what they actually said, which we try to bring to you, but if they decide that they don't like something that's happened at that meeting, they can't just ditch it, which they have done. Yeah. It's similar to what they do with their minutes. I've been there. They don't do this in public anymore. Not anymore, buddy, because they will look at those minutes and say, I don't like the fact that I said that. Take that off of the minutes. What? You can't take it off of the minutes. Yes. Yeah, I don't want that on the official minutes because I said something kind of stupid. They wouldn't put it that way. Well, Keith might. But no, they don't want it on there. And so they can clean up. I've heard him use this term. Let's clean up the minutes. Clean up the minutes.
Well,
that's why it's valuable to you, or purportedly valuable to you. We have a decade, 10 years of videos of what these characters have actually said and done. This is why they're so fit to be tied. Call us names and get all over. I'm going to throw you out if you list the names of the partners. They don't like being held accountable. And there's so much to hold them accountable for. Not good English, but you know what I mean. And so for which to hold them accountable. Yes, thank you very much. They don't like it. And so the more they make it, they used to do it. You'd pay $10 for a copy. Okay, whatever. That's not possible for love or money now, thanks to Cheryl Walker. Okay, one more thing that they could do is, I said, well, how about if I give you the money and you buy one of these and then you take care of it? No, says David Reeves. No, I'm not gonna. I said, so couldn't they send it to us? Mike, what would it take to send it to us electronically using that, what is that called?
An FTP system, or, I know what you're trying to get at. You could use Google Drive. There's any number of file sharing services where you can post a file to a certain location and then somebody can go there and pick it up. And they certainly could do that. Listen, they don't want to do that.
We can pay for their time.
Well, yeah, but their rationale that, hey, I don't want to give this to you because you're going to use it to criticize me. That's the whole point of number one, our form of government, and number two, these records here, so that people can take a look at what you did and hold you accountable for it. Our whole system of government is based on accountability. If you want to be in a government that has no accountability, go to Venezuela or Venice. I always mess up that Venezuela or Cuba, or one of these places where or even Mexico, where it's completely corrupt and they probably don't have any transparency at all. You can go to those places, nothing's stopping you.
You remember the picture that we showed you with the dividing line? It's kind of before and after, okay? One of the most delightful things that we do, and it shows you my mindset, I find it delightful, is when Cheryl Walker says, well, I never said that, and then we show the videotape of her saying that. Well, that's totally false. Or one of my favorites, Simon here cuts the microphone off when I'm trying to play back what he said. Well, I never said that, so I bring it to the weekly business session. He actually cut the power and said that playing that back was disruptive.
Yeah.
So
why don't you just stop disrupting things, Dale?
They hate that. They hate that. They're being held accountable. And we've even got people out there in regular life are saying, oh, you're so hard on them. Why don't you just get along with everybody? Really? I mean, these liars are your pals? And I'm not talking about everyone in government being a liar, but this time we ended up with 3 of them. Even when we had the tape, Keith Eck said, no, you didn't. You doctored the tape. No, we didn't. And we proved to him that we didn't. This guy lost $5,000 on that bet. I was ready to give it to him, but there's no way. Look, so love us or hate us, okay? We do try to keep our county government, and now to a certain blurry extent, the city government, we try to hold them accountable for what they're doing, but they're slipping out of it every possible opportunity. I'm leading into the next video clip, Mike. And so we even tell you about our cues to each other. This is going to be a meeting from the little back room. Recently, with this group of commissioners, what they've decided to do is that instead of taking votes out into public and talking about the reasoning for it, maybe you remember ECO Northwest, redefined by Cheryl Walker as Econ Northwest when it's not, okay? And it's Eco Northwest or Echo Northwest. A tiny little thing. Why bother even lying about that? And it is. She keeps saying, "Oh no, it's not." Now she used to call it that. They got criticized. So what they're trying to do now is do all of their debate and all of their voting in the back room. Well, we're lucky they're doing it in front of us at all, but I'm the only person there most of the time, and so I'm recording it and then playing it back for them. They hate that. You have to record this? Yes, I do. It's within the law. So that's why they tossed us out of the Rotary Club meeting, because it was a quorum and we were allowed and we were invited. But then at the last moment, Cheryl Walker decided we were no longer invited, and then we were tossed out while she was giving the state of the county report, okay, in a quorum of county commissioners. So where they're talking about county business. Stop it. Stop interrupting me. So I'm joking. So playing it back. So what they've decided to do now is they'll take a real vote in the little back room without letting anybody comment about it at all. And then later they ratify the vote. And I asked Wally Hicks, what the heck is ratification of a vote? He just gave me one of those. So here they are talking about the fact that they're going to, Mike, can you roll in about 1 minute into this while I vamp just a little while longer? So here they are talking about, I can do that for a minute if you just want to start it.
I'm into it a minute right now. So.
Okay, so let's play back for you about a minute into this little video that I made of what it is they're deciding to do and how they're going to vote on it now, have the guy start immediately, then bring it to the public after he's already started for our comments.
Well, I'm sure Dennis would be more than happy to have him start tomorrow.
He would like me to.
As we were talking yesterday, I certainly don't have any problem with it. I'm very happy he's able to come back, and it's not that he's, you know, it's not he's marginal employee kind of a thing either. So
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll be full 203.
Yeah. So I mean, that'll be you know great news for the planning office because I mean they're you know struggling to try to keep up with the limited staff. So
really.
Do you have a motion? Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I will move that we approve the rehire of James Black to the position that he previously had left at the same pay grade.
Okay, moved and seconded. I second that. Any other discussion? This will be ratified at
Yes, that's what I was going to ask,
yeah.
was to be ratified next week.
Yeah, 7/22. No, 7/22. Yeah, if we
Yes.
get ratified at that point. But as far as getting the practical aspect of getting back to work and making Dennis real happy,
Yeah.
as well as James, I trust. So, and all in favor of that? Yes, I unanimously moved and received. And thank you for your diligence in bringing back a good employee.
So one quick last thing about him. So his pay is set. The other question I have is, do you want to bring him back and have him start over on his seniority, or do you want to bring him back and keep him? Because we can have him as though he never left, or we can make him start over. So.
Well, that's part of the hitch for me.
Okay, Mike. Okay, did you catch that? Okay, so
Yeah, you know what was weird there is he said all in favor, and then he said, and you're saying yes. She didn't say it. He said it for her.
that's right. And the other thing is,
weird.
Not only did they take the vote without any public input about anything. I mean, the guy's fine. Okay, that's not the point. Not only did they take the vote, and the guy started working the next day, and then they ratified this a week later. Okay, and they told us about it, and then we could comment on it, but he's already working. Okay, not only that, but J.J. Schofield, the HR director, waited till after they took the vote to say, oh, by the way, let's start him at a pay grade. Hey, wait a minute. Why isn't that part of this whole deal? Oh, no, now that you've decided you want him, now let me negotiate a salary. No, that's not the way these things work. First, you talk about how much it's going to cost us, and then they decide.
Well, but Keith Heck in the beginning of that said, so yeah, okay, I'm okay with let's hire this guy back at the same rate that he left at. That's that is what he said.
But JJ just argued successfully for the guy to get more money. That's what the rest of that was. Okay. So what I did is when the weekly business session came around, I got up and I spent my 3 minutes. Geez, you always got to decide what you're going to talk about, saying, now, wait a minute. Why are you bothering to bring it to us? What, we're going to say something about this? And you're going to say, now that you think of it, the guy's already working here, but we better get rid of him. And I said, look, don't bother telling us how wonderful he is. Of course he's wonderful. That's not the question. And Cheryl Walker, I said specifically to her, don't bother saying, well, he's a great employee and how happy you are to have him. That's not the point. It's about the process. What the heck does ratification mean? I'm asking you, what is ratification and why are you doing it this way? What is ratification? Don't say anything about the guy's qualifications. If he's qualified or not is beside the point. You know what their answer was? Hers especially. She went into a long diatribe about what a great guy he is and how much we need him. And not a word about what the heck is ratification. So don't ask. And they won't tell.
I won't. Don't browbeat me, for crying out loud.
Gosh, stop asking all the time. One other thing that we're going to mention quickly before we leave you for this evening is small little things that happen, trends. You may have noticed that the weekly business sessions many times, and it fits in with today's theme, are they're difficult to watch because, one thing, you can't watch them because there's no video. Sometimes they're difficult to hear because there's no audio, or the video and the audio drift in and out. They're not putting this on any kind of priority. Of course, you're paying for this. You had it for free for a while, for 6 months, for absolutely for free. We were doing it. It was always right. I mean, lucky for everybody, it was always right, always correct. Then they decided, well, no, we'd rather pay staff to do that. And they've been screwing it up for a couple of years. Okay. So it hasn't been a whole lot better recently. This last one was okay, but not the ones before that. So, and also a couple of things have disappeared. I'm not just talking about the furniture in the lobby. That's just a stupid thing that they decide to do, or locking up a certain area with a padlock and chains, literally chains. Hey, okay, whatever. Just be rude. Okay. But also, you can't make any presentations as a citizen. You can't. We used to be able to bring in documents and say, well, here's what I'm talking about. Here are Bill Hunker's charts and graphs about crime in our. We can't do that anymore because citizens are not allowed to do that. There was a guy that actually came in and he says, well, I want to remember the fallen and I have a bell tolling that's going to play it. No, we can't allow you to play that. You can't play it. It's too dramatic. No, we haven't heard the bell. You haven't heard the bell. They hadn't heard the bell ahead of time. We're going to have to hear that bell.
Yes. Okay, so, well, you can hear it right now while I play.
Yeah. So no, don't play a bell, please. So, clear as a bell. So we can't do any kind of presentations to them at all. Nothing. Zero. Zip. But somebody came in to do a presentation from animal husbandry? No, animal control. From animal control. And not only did they have their technician there that runs the whole show, they had the head of the department show up. You can imagine what this cost to make absolutely sure that that presentation came off without a hitch. Really?
Well, it was important. Dale, it was important, for crying out loud. Gee whiz, you're so picky.
Gosh. You know, it's a lot easier than this, you guys. We do it every single night. We have actually done our show live from the Ann Basker the night that was rented in order to be able to do that. We did it live from there. We did it live streaming on the internet. The night that the vote took place, we were live from the clerk's office. We were live walking out the door. We were live walking outside with it. And we were live going across the street to the Republican headquarters. They were nice enough to let us in. We're not Republicans, but that's okay. So we know it's possible. We are a couple of the local experts about how to do this. And when they say, well, we just don't, there's not enough programming to put on here except for anything but the weekly business session. We've offered to them several times, look, take not this program, we're criticizing them in this. Take the recording that we've made of your meetings in the little back room and play it. We don't say anything. We're not allowed to say anything. You're going to take a ratification vote in the back room, where you're going to, talk to each other, illegally. Hey, we're happy to show people that. Please do. Oh, no. Because they audio recorded. You can't see her passing him an illegal note, illegal by state law. You can't see that unless you can see it. Well, they don't want that on there. And the other thing is they could take those audio recordings, slap up kind of stuff, something saying, county commissioners on parade, and play that back. They don't need our help. They're not going to do it. They don't want the exposure. They don't want to be held in focus by you. It's our job. That's what we do. And we do it for free. Thank you for all the cards and letters. You got any cards and letters, Mike?
No.
No.
I haven't. People hate us, Dale. People hate us.
Yeah, I got in so much trouble the other day when I just gave you a list of who the investors were in Orhimco. Boy, Keith Heck was mad. Just about tossed me out of the meeting for giving you a list of Cheryl Walker's partners in that deal. They're under investigation by the state for that deal. And I gave you the list of that. And we repeated it on yesterday's show. And I've got people now that are saying, can you say that list of people again? Yes, I can. And we'll leave it with that. Cheryl Walker, her husband, Martin Hill, Simon Hare, Kit Doyle. Now, here's the part of which Keith is going to cut off this broadcast. Also, what's the name of that guy that does the real estate stuff? He's the guy that put this deal together.
Would that be Jim Frick?
Well, Jim Frick is the one. He's the one where Keith Eck was so upset that he cut me from being able to speak.